Welcome back to Operation Evil. This episode is called Kentucky Pilot's Wife Hires Hitman. I'm your host, Nyoka.
And I am your co-host, Megan.
And just a reminder, because it's so new, you can find our episodes on the U of the Tube, just so you know. And then this story, I picked a local one, basically in our backyard. Some people have told me about this story a few times, and I don't know. I'm one of those, I just have to be in the mood to even look at it. I don't know. And I was finally in the mood, and it was good, I think. So here we go. On July 12th, 2000, in Edgewood, Kentucky, 38-year-old Stephen Craven, a Delta Airlines pilot, was found murdered in his home. He was face down in a pool of blood in the basement, and he had been shot several times in the head. His wife, Adele Craven, a licensed mortician, told police she last saw her husband about 11 a.m. on July 12th when she left to go shopping with her two sons, ages 6 and 8 at the time. When they returned home at 8:30 p.m., they found the front door open. She went to the neighbor's house to report a possible break-in, and that's when authorities found Stephen's body. Adele and Stephen were married in 1989. They had their first son, Daniel, in 1991, and their second son, Joseph, in 1994. They bought a home in Edgewood, Kentucky. Now, because Stephen was a pilot, he worked a whole lot, which made Adele feel like she was a single mom handling everything because she was, basically. And on top of that, their marriage did have some issues. Stephen allegedly would criticize Adele about everything from her overspending, her weight, appearance. He even took away her credit cards and access to money. He was just extremely controlling, and he also wanted sex too often, and she was just sick of it. She made comments that she could never divorce him because he would take her children from her. And she even told friends that he made her skin crawl and she wished his plane would just crash.
Oh.
Yeah. She wanted her children, her home, her lifestyle to stay the same. So the only way she thought that she could have it all was to have him killed. Now, she was arrested at a friend's house about 5 p.m., according to Kenton County Police Captain Ed Butler, would not say what evidence had been gathered that led Kenton County and Edgewood police to her arrest. He also would not say if they thought she shot her husband or if someone else was involved. At the time of the arrest, the police had not found the murder weapon, but evidence was collected at the scene. The investigation showed no forced entry, and according to Edgewood police officer Sean Clyer, a break-in appeared to have been staged. He said that the several items were not stolen, and there were no general ransacking of the home. Only 2 desk drawers had been dumped out, and 2 file cabinet drawers may have been disturbed. Investigation records revealed that Adele allegedly told acquaintances she was looking for a hitman to kill her husband. According to a criminal complaint filed in Kenton District Court, Adele asked a male acquaintance of hers on July 2nd and again on July 4th if he knew a hitman and if a hitman would need a picture of her husband to track him down. She's being way too open about this stuff.
Yeah, nonchalant, just matter of fact. I want him gone, and I don't care who knows.
And out of all the stories that we've covered, I don't think a hitman has ever been a success. Just so you guys know. Not a good idea. Usually doesn't go well for you. So Officer Clyer said in the complaint, a female acquaintance of the Cravens said she was present when Adele made the July 2nd hitman comments. She also said Adele once told her that she would be collecting $500,000 on her husband's insurance policy. On July 28th, 2000, another person was arrested and charged with the murder and the death of Stephen Craven. That person was Rusty McIntyre of Erlanger, Kentucky, a man police think was having an affair with Adele. And the kicker is, he worked as a baggage handler for Delta, the same airline that Stephen worked for. And according to the police, Rusty had been in the Craven home shortly before the shooting. In fact, just a month prior, an Edgewood police officer found Rusty and Adele in a compromising situation in a vehicle in a church parking lot. It kind of
Whoopsie.
makes you wonder, did she start this affair with the intent to have this man fall for her and kill for her? She's been pretty open about needing a hitman. Just throwing that out there. Kenton County Police Detective Wayne Wallace testified during Adele's hearing that Adele and Rusty wanted to be together and collect the $500,000 insurance policy. They were charged with hiring 33-year-old Ronald Pryor of Independence, Kentucky, to kill Stephen. Yes, so now we have a third player. For the price of $15,000. Police allege that the hitman only pocketed $1,000 of the $15,000 up front. Oh, and apparently Ronald and Rusty knew each other from working together on some remodeling jobs in the past. The Cravens had even hired Rusty to remodel their basement, a job he was working on up until the killing.
Can we just pause here and talk about how $15,000 is not enough
to ruin your life and
to
kill
ruin
someone?
Your life. $500,000 isn't enough to ruin your life, to take a life for that amount of money. Like, what is wrong with people? But anyways,
and he accepted only $1,000 before he did it.
It was probably just like a collateral payment. You don't get the rest until the job is done type of thing.
That's true.
But still, man, 15,000. I don't want to give too much of my family history away, but back in the day, like in the 80s, it was going for $10,000 for a hitman.
Right.
And 15.
And this is 2000 at this point.
This is 2025. Are you kidding me? $15,000, my butt. No.
Yeah, no way.
We don't.
No way.
For 500,000.
Did they get them at the bargain hitman store? Like, come on.
That's exactly what I think about. Like, who the heck are these people? But anyways.
The Dollar Tree of hitmans.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So what really happened on the day of the murder? Allegedly, is that all three of them were conspired to kill Stephen, were in the basement. Ronald hid behind a couch and killed him after being alerted to his approach by the words, "The ferret is loose." Whatever that means.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Anyway, Detective Wallace testified that the hitman hired, which was Ronald, bludgeoned Stephen, striking him 12 times in the head with a crowbar that cracked his skull and broke his arm 4 times, and then shot him 3 times in the head with a .38 caliber revolver. And when Adele realized that Stephen wasn't dead, she reloaded the gun and gave it back to Ronald, who shot him in the head 2 more times. Yeah.
This is terrible.
Terrible. And by the way, there's a Snapped episode on this. I didn't really get to watch it.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
oh, this makes me so angry.
Season 1 or season 2. Yeah. So Kenton County Police Captain Ed Butler said that as best as they could tell, the motive was an issue of love and money. And they believed that Rusty and Adele wanted to be together and that the only way that could happen was if Stephen was murdered.
This is BS. It's not love and money.
Mm-mm.
It's freaking greed and bargain hunt hitmen is what it, I mean,
I think it absolutely was love and money for Rusty, but it was not for Adele. I just don't think it
well,
was
she
for
was out
her.
to get the money to begin with
Yeah.
anyway. I mean, she
Yeah.
was out for
He
that.
was like a pawn to the
Yeah.
plan. But anyway,
Mm.
shortly after the murder, a Kenton County district judge removed Adele, said she was the executor of her murdered husband's will. Adele was also the sole beneficiary over Stephen's estate, so the judge appointed Stephen's father, William Craven Sr., as executor instead. So, yeah, she no longer had that. Also, when Ronald was arrested, he confessed and they were able to retrieve evidence from the murder. Rusty discarded his bloody clothes and a murder weapon. I think it was the crowbar at the local refuse transfer station. I'm not really
Come
sure what
on.
that is. What is that? What's
That's your, isn't it like in Covington, your recycle center
Oh yeah, it probably is. You're probably right.
where
And
they
then
basically take metal? It would
that
make
makes
sense.
sense. That makes sense. Because then after they dropped it there or whatever, discarded it there, then the evidence was then taken to a garbage landfill in Williamstown, Kentucky. So 6 weeks after the murder, the landfill was searched and they retrieved those clothes. They did DNA testing on them. They confirmed that that was Stephen's blood. But as far as I could tell in the research, they never did recover the gun, but they did the
Hmm.
clothes. I also found an article from May 2001 that Adele would get her own trial, but Rusty, which was her lover, and Ronald, the hitman, would be tried together because Kenton County Circuit Judge Patricia Summy ruled it that way. The
Hmm.
judge said that because the two made similar statements to police about their roles in the murder, that she could find no conflict in trying them together. Fast forward to June 2001, and Rusty pleaded guilty and will testify against his former lover, Adele, to avoid the death penalty. Instead, he wanted life without parole for 25 years, which he got. In May 2002, a jury recommended hitman Ronald to be sentenced to death, and that is what he was sentenced to as well. Adele's trial moved from Covington, Kentucky to Fayette County because the publicity in the area just grew huge. And Adele's attorney, which I'll have to tell you later who her attorney was, because
Oh,
I also had this attorney.
oh, I
She,
probably know this
she's a
attorney.
badass too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So Adele's attorney told jurors that Rusty had single-handedly arranged the murder, that he was obsessed with Stephen's wife, life, and money. He even wanted his children. They acknowledged that there was an affair. However, she ended the affair weeks before the murder, and she was trying to get the marriage back on track by seeing a marriage counselor. According to Adele's attorney, after their last counseling session, they hoped to save their marriage, and that set off Rusty. Rusty had an emotional problem and got angry, went into an outburst, and even choked a fellow Delta employee. It was also said that he had been off his antidepressant medication and drinking heavily. Her attorney said, quote, he was losing her and he knew it, end quote.
Oh,
She's good though, dude. She is. I cannot lie. This attorney's good.
man eater and a man eater. I don't know. Okay. All right. I'm with you. I'm
Mhm.
with you.
Her attorney also suggested that Rusty had access to the house and could have broken into the gun closet and taken Stephen's pistol. The night before the murder, Rusty purchased 2 crowbars at Home Depot. Then Rusty and Ronald ganged up on Stephen together while Adele was out of the house. That Adele had no idea her husband was being murdered and she would have never arranged such a brutal murder when her children could have walked into the scene.
Mm.
Adele did testify. And she described her husband as a very good man, a good father, and had a lot of good qualities and was very structured. Sounds like a different person than earlier, doesn't it?
Yep, sure does.
She said that the tension in her marriage never rose to the point where she would contemplate having her husband killed. She described Rusty as a psycho who stalked her. Yeah, and then nuts. Okay.
So nuts.
In testimony, her sister said that she thought talk about hiring a hitman to kill Stephen was a joke. She said, quote, "We were talking about a hitman when I visited Adele in Kentucky. I am divorced, so I thought if she was serious, I would have not said we should bring the hitman out to California," end quote. Her visit was a month before Stephen's death. She said the atmosphere in the Craven home was so tense that she cut her visit short and offered to take their children back to California for the rest of the summer so that her sister could focus on fixing things with her husband.
Hmm.
Adele's sister said that Stephen was a private, thorough, and controlling person, and her sister felt like he was demanding and wanted things done a certain way. She described her sister Adele as someone who wasn't concerned about material goods.
Hmm.
Prosecutors said Adele wanted his insurance money. The co-prosecutor also noted that Adele got a job and phone without her husband's approval. The job, as it turned out, was working for her lover, Rusty. And the cell phone records showed that the two lovers talked often, a total of 502 times for a total of 1,875 minutes in the month before the murder. On the day of the murder, they called each other 22 times. The prosecution called 6 witnesses over 3 weeks of testimony before resting its case. In December 2002, in Adele's murder trial, the jury was deadlocked and unable to reach a decision. The court has 3 options. The case may be retried. The charges may be withdrawn by the prosecutor, or the charges may be dismissed by the judge. So what did they decide? They decided to retry the case. When I was researching this, I'm like, you are kidding me.
I can't even believe that.
That's how good that attorney is, man. How?
Mm.
I would love to watch this trial. Anyway.
So all the phone documentation is strictly calls. There's no text messages. Strictly calls.
It didn't say anything beyond.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's a
But
smart.
I mean, either way, that's a lot.
Right. But I'm just saying.
I know that it was 22 calls the day of the murder. That much I am for sure of, but yeah. Yeah.
How many times a day do you call your fiance?
None to one.
Yeah, okay. I mean, but I'm different. I won't call
I might throw
mine
some
for
text here and there or whatever,
yes.
but yeah,
I think
it's
22
weird.
calls is really excessive, especially
Very
calling
much.
nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. I'm
I
with you.
agree. So the second trial began in January 2004. Adele pleaded guilty to 1 count of complicity to murder and received a life sentence. The judge said that she will be eligible for parole in 20 years, which would be 2024. The plea agreement also bars her from filing appeals. The assistant attorney general said, quote, "It may have taken a long time and come through unusual means, but some measure of justice for Stephen Craven arrived today. One of the most important things about this guilty plea is that it closes the book on this horrific crime," end quote. Now, that was in 2004. And I found an article from May 2021 that stated Adele was giving a serve out on a life sentence in May 2020, but now is eligible for parole in May 2030. And the parole board did not include any explanation of the rule change. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean?
There was a rule change? So,
Yeah, I don't know what any of that means.
Say it one more time. She was
given a serve out on a life sentence in May 2020, but now is eligible for parole in May 2030.
2020. Eligible for parole. So what? They're saying that she served her life sentence and now she's eligible for parole?
I'm not sure.
But then
That's exactly how the article worded it too. So
let me see what I can dig up here. Hang on.
What does it mean to be given a serve out on a life sentence?
On a life sentence. A life sentence means a person in prison. However, in many jurisdictions, a life sentence can include the possibility of parole after a certain minimum period of incarceration. If parole is granted, the individual will be released, but typically remains under supervision. A whole life order is a specific type of life sentence where release is not possible. So, yeah, I guess it's life sentence with parole eligibility, but it's saying that the minimum period has been served.
Oh. Okay.
Serve out orders. In some jurisdictions like Kentucky, the parole board has specific policies regarding serve out orders, which may affect the timing of parole hearings for those serving life sentences.
Huh.
Let me see what else. Let me see what else I can find. Let me see if I can find, because I don't even know what that means.
It's weird, isn't it?
Okay, so in Kentucky, a serve out on a life sentence means the Kentucky Parole Board has decided that an inmate will not be considered for parole for the remainder of their life sentence. That makes no sense. This decision effectively means the inmate will serve the full term of their life sentence in prison. But then she's eligible for parole in 2030.
Yeah.
The parole board is the authority to issue the serve out. The inmate will remain incarcerated for the rest of their natural life unless granted a pardon or communication by the governor. It's not an alteration of sentence. A serve out is not considered a change to the judicially imposed sentence itself. It's a decision about parole eligibility.
No, I found another I put in her name in 2025.
Yeah.
But an article from this time period in 2021 did say that 43 criminals serving life sentence for some Kentucky's most notorious murders were now given a second chance at parole. And that the Kentucky Parole Board created a new rule prohibiting inmates serving life sentencing from receiving what are known as serve outs the first time they see the board. This is when the board decides at a person's first parole hearing that the inmate is not eligible for another hearing.
Okay, so recent policy changes. Kentucky has seen some policy changes regarding serve out orders, particularly regarding the timing of when they might be issued for life sentences. Previously, the board would sometimes issue them at the first parole hearing. However, the current policy is to not issue serve out orders at the first parole hearing for inmates serving life or life without parole for at least 25 years. So that's what triggered it.
Oh, okay.
They can still be issued at a second hearing. So the second that I don't know if it would be the second hearing specifically, but the next hearing in line for her, because she served the minimum time frame, it would be my guess, is why she's allowed now. The parole board can
Mm,
decide if she can have parole or not. Will
okay.
be eligible for parole, I should say.
I'm glad we
And then
talked
that
about
hearing.
that because when I
Yep.
read it, I was like, this makes no sense to me. Maybe Megan will know.
Well,
But
and then I was stuck on the separation of powers because you have a difference between the judiciary and the parole board. The parole board can't just say, oh, yeah, they served enough time and, whatever.
mhm.
But in this case, they're saying that there is no power violation here between the two, which was my question. I'm like, how can parole be set for somebody? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that makes sense. I guess this new rule,
So
it
new
doesn't
authority
say.
stepped in and just changed the rules, basically.
Correct, correct. There's a recent policy change. Now, I don't know where that policy change comes from, but it does say, let's see, it's a serve out is 501 KAR 130, I think it is.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm sitting in the dark now, so it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
see my phone, but um, they serve the completion of their sentence, essentially. But yeah, yeah.
Hmm. That's interesting. I've never heard of it before, so learned something new. I
Serve a
love
minimum
it.
of 25 years with a life sentence in Kentucky. That's in Kentucky, though, people.
Right. And that's all that I can find on Adele Craven. So I guess when we hear an update in the future, we'll see what happens, but that will do it for this episode. If you can't get enough Operation Evil, consider supporting the podcast by joining our Patreon. Regardless of what tier you pick, you will have a shout out from us and at least one bonus episode every month that is exclusive to our supporters. We currently have over 40 bonus episodes ready for you to binge over there. The link to join can be found in our show notes. If you can't join our Patreon, consider buying us a coffee, or you can support us for free by rating our show, telling a friend about our show, or like and share our Facebook page. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll be back next time with a new episode. Goodbye.
Goodbye.